This is a question for the Treasurer. Governments from both sides rely on bracket creep caused by inflation to increase tax over time and surreptitiously fund their additional spending. Do you agree that indexing tax brackets, like 17 other OECD countries have done, would stop us sleepwalking into greater reliance on income taxes and provide greater transparency for taxpayers about new spending?
Give the call to the Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you to the honourable member for Curtin for her question. Obviously, I'm aware that there are a range of suggestions around about the next steps in income tax reform, while our focus has been delivering a tax cut for every Australian taxpayer. I do know that about half the OECD is taking the course that you're suggesting. That means about half of the OECD isn't, and countries make their own decisions about these sorts of things. For us, really, one of the defining purposes of this Prime Minister and his government is to help people earn more and keep more of what they earn. The most important part of that, fundamental part of that, is about getting wages growing again. Real wages are growing again for consecutive quarters, but also the tax cuts are playing a meaningful role as well. There are more or less, to oversimplify, three different ways that you can return bracket creep. There's the way that the member for Curtin is proposing, there's the way that those opposite were proposing, which is to just return bracket creep to people who are already on the highest incomes, or that's the Labor way, the way that we have chosen to return bracket creep. And as the Treasury analysis makes clear that we released a little over a year ago now, when we made the changes to the tax cuts, the way that we chose has positive benefits for workforce participation and other benefits as well. And so I do acknowledge that governments have choices to make when it comes to how we return bracket creep. We are frankly proud of the way that we've gone about returning bracket creep, because instead of giving a tax cut to some taxpayers, as those opposite were proposing, we are giving a tax cut to every Australian taxpayer. And they are rolling out right now, and they're helping Australians with these cost of living pressures which are enduring. The final point I would make is this, and again I make this point respectfully. I listened to the member for Curtin and her colleagues on all of these sorts of issues in a genuine and a respectful way. But the difference between the ideas which are offered up from the crossbench and the ideas that we're able to pick up and run with in a government is we have to make it all add up. And we have to make sure that our tax reform priorities are balanced with our priorities when it comes to public investment, to make sure that all of those things are calibrated. But having said that, Mr Speaker, I say again I thank the member for Curtin for her question, for her interest, along with other crossbench colleagues, in genuine tax reform. And I note the genuine tax reform that's being rolled out right now in the economy.